All right, guys. So week 2, 187. Welcome back. Couple updates real quick. My email was wrong on our website. I asked for you guys to send out some menus and stuff, so I didn't get any of those. But it looks like some of you forwarded them over to Chef Catherine. So hopefully I'll get those forwarded over. But it is updated on that website. So sorry about that. We're getting a lot of the bugs fixed, but everything should be good to go. So email me, message me directly. That's going to be your easiest way on all of those. So a little recap. Last week, what did we talk about? We talked about building that concept for our restaurant. So all the different things that go into it as far as price point, atmosphere, service levels, service quality. So all of those things, we're taking and we're building our concept. So we had our little knowledge check, as well as some of those research materials. Does anyone want to bring up like what they learned, what they saw, anything like that? Like I said, I know there's a couple people are shooting me some menus. I'll get to those for sure. But anyone questions from last week at all? And I'm going to keep an eye on that chat too. So Chef Catherine can help me out a little bit on that as well. Nothing? Everyone's built their restaurant. They know what they want. They know their price. They know everything. Man, I wish I had that when I was writing my business plan. All right, no questions. If anything does come up, reach out. All right, now we have all this information. So let's go into week 2. Where are we going to go from here? We've built our concept. We, have a general idea of what our menu is, our price point, atmosphere. We kind of have that. So where are we going to build our restaurant? Anyone? We just going to, most available space? No. I see Denise saying no. Are we going to look for cheap rent? Are we going to look for expensive rent? So we have this concept. We're building it, somewhat around our menu. And now we have to find where we want to do it. So we need to do research. Research is very, very important. If we, try to open a restaurant downtown, but, haven't done our research, it could be, that could be a failure right there. We don't have the clientele that we're looking for. So what's important is how we find all this information that's available to us. First thing we can let's get into is demographics. Who knows what demographics is? Remember, I'm just like the kind of guy, unmute, chat, like we're here to discuss, I'm here to have fun. I want people to be involved. So
it would be the location area.
What's that? Go ahead. Location.
The people. It could be the religious, the any type of people.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a ton of, different categories when it comes to demographics, but in general, it's the information about our population. Chef Catherine?
Yeah, we've got how many people are in the area and the type of culture, right? And location. Those are all contributing in the chat.
Yeah, so there's so many different categories or, different areas when it comes to demographics. Like I think we hit some of them, like gender, generation, income is a big one, education level, ownership, do you own or rent? There's all these different factors that we need to take into account when we're going to be building our restaurant. If we don't, yeah, go ahead.
Some other big ones is basically the clientele that you'll be catering to. So basically their income, that can also affect what your menu is going to be related to what your demographic for the population in a particular area could be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, income level's huge. Do people have that expendable income? I mean, young professionals versus senior citizens is a huge one. I mean, you have someone that, is retired and has to monitor their income. What's their price point? How are we going to market ourselves to them? Or are we marketing ourselves to people that, are young professionals, they're looking for a more niche market? Or, someone that can, our menu is going to be a little bit more broad where we can't cover a lot of different demographics. So life stage, I think, is a big one. Like I kind of said, young families, as well as empty nesters and college students. Like, think about that progression of, you know, where you're at in life stage. I think here in Colorado, big thing is breweries. And breweries, I'm pretty sure you can find every single one of that demographic there. You know, young families bringing their kids out, or empty nesters where, hey, I can go out and, you know, be free again. Or, you know, those college students, I'm pretty sure breweries are the new, you know, coffee shop where they go do work. So there's all these different categories that we want to look at. We're looking at. So how do we find these? You know, and I think there's tons of government information out there. Like there's, you know, whether you're looking at chambers of commerce or business, and a big one is our census. You know, censuses come out, I think every 3-4 years, and it's just taking, you know, statistics on our population. That's available to us. I mean, what a great source of, you know, for research for us. I would love, let's go ahead and maybe take a look at it. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen here. 1 second. Right now I want, let's, if someone can raise their hand and let's actually take a look at one of your guys' cities, and then we can kind of dissect it together and, you know, look at what information's out there. So someone want to raise their hand? What city? Just name any city.
Navarre, Florida.
What is it?
Navarre, Florida.
Will you spell it for me? I'm a terrible speller.
Navarre.
Navarre, Florida. Navarre Beach. Does that work? Cool. So when we pull up this information, it's going to tell us our population, and then it's going to break it down into, you know, all the way from gender to, you know, biggest one for me is the age group. So when I'm looking at this, you know, when we're doing our research for where we want to open up our, you know, restaurant concept, is population. That's the first thing I'm going to look at. So our population is only 1,000. So you know, that's a smaller market. So first I'm thinking, you know, about my concept and who I'm trying to reach out to. I would say I wouldn't want to be more niche in this. I want to be more general. I want to, you know, try to relate to more people in this population. As your population is larger, like downtown cities and stuff, you can get more specific with your menu. You can find those more niche markets to stand out. But you think about, you know, going to, I always think of like Midwest in some small town. You go to, you know, that family-owned restaurant. Their menu covers a lot. You know, they kind of find menu items that, you know, relate to a lot of people when it's a smaller population. Yeah, go ahead.
I did have a question because it is a huge vacation spot. So as
Sure.
far as like getting a restaurant together, because this is a big spot where everybody comes to vacation. So that's
Yeah, so it can fluctuate. So that's where, you know, different seasons you can be prepared, but when you're looking at your concept, are your business months going to be, you know, that summer months, you know? So you could change your menu to be, you know, more relatable to those tourists and everything. Tourism, we'll get into a little bit, is a huge demographic, and how that can fluctuate, you know, for your seasonality for the city. So let's just go ahead and continue down. So it's going to say your total population. It's going to break it into gender. And then what I like to look at is mostly our different age groups. You know, this is a big factor. So looking down, and, you know, we can see the ratio of people. So right now, I mean, you have a pretty wide range of people. When I was looking at Denver earlier, it was people from 35 to 44 was the same amount of population as it was for, you know, 65 and above. So, you know, looking at that and knowing who your target market is. So as far as age group, I think that's the first thing I look at. So here it looks like I was expecting to see more retirees and a little bit older in Florida, but, you know, but, you know, it's kind of broad, because remember that people in this area around here, don't have that expendable income as you would down over here. So how, are you looking for value in your menu? Or you writing a menu that has that higher price point? In either way is okay. It doesn't need to be one way or another. Like there's a lot of companies out there that are very successful, at a lower price point. Fast food's a huge one. So scrolling down, you can kind of look, it goes into a lot of it. Race can be a very touchy subject. I don't, this is something I kind of ignore when looking at it. Really depends. It's open. I'm creating a menu for my age group. I want to be, that's who I'm targeting. It doesn't matter, in my opinion, it doesn't matter at all. But what a great source to have when looking at your research. That census will give you so much information. There's so much more from our government that, can show you what kind of restaurants are in a certain area too. Like I think it's chambers of commerce, like every business has to be registered with your government. So you could look and see what restaurants are already there. You don't want to, open up a taco spot right next to where a street or a place where there's already 6 other taco shops. Questions? Anything else coming up? No? All right. Chef Catherine?
Just in the chat,
Yeah.
talking about living in a military community and what that can change. Sorry for the background, because of division deploys economy, and it can take for a huge hit for a year or more. So again, yes, digging deeper, knowing your location of where you want to open up your restaurant is really important. Is it a seasonal tourism? Is it military based? Is it age based? Or is it a college town? Is it a retirement town? That's going to guide you as well.
Totally. All right. So where we're at, we've done our research, we've kind of looked at it. So what I'd love to do is actually found some examples, and maybe we can kind of walk together and, just talk through some different examples I found. Let me see here. Go back to our share screen. All right. So we're talking about target market, and really that's what we're using the demographics, all of our research. Who are we trying to market our menu and our restaurant concept to? So let's take this example of Manhattan. What a, high population, city. And I thought this was very interesting. Top 30 restaurants in Manhattan, $526 million. That's huge in the, small area here. And then this kind of shows what's around. Other businesses can affect, why you want to open up your restaurant. So major banks, major law firms, major advertisement firms. So we're looking at other businesses that can affect this. When I think of, the banks and law firms, I think of high-end clientele, and they also want to take out their customers to, places, and they have that income. Corporate cards, why not? That's why you see a lot of these high-end restaurants around here. So looking at other businesses that are in the area is really important too. All right. All right. In-N-Out, fast food. How does In-N-Out create? When I looked this up, this line was over 2 miles long. You talk about someone that has found their target market, and can, and look at their menu. Their menu is burger and fries. They're not an extensive menu. It's a very simple menu, but they've nailed their target market. Does anyone know what do they think In-N-Out's target market is? Hold on, I'm gonna try to pull up chat here too, see if. No, wait. In-N-Out, has anyone dined at In-N-Out? Yeah, Frida. Young families, mid to low income, 25 to 35. Honestly, I think their target market is from, kids to seniors. I think they've hit this market where they can relate to anybody. But also they're very particular with their locations. When you're, when I'm looking or going to a new city or something, driving across the highway, I see that in and out sign all the time. They've hit that tourist market as well. What a great location, driving through a city, see that big in and out sign. Oh, I want to pull over. Let's stop. Let's get that burger. I've heard of them. I've known for them. So, pretty cool what they've done. They also only open up restaurants within 200 miles of their commissary kitchen. That's important to their menu. Everything's fresh. That's, they have that target market as well. I think if you guys look down over here, that guy even has an In-N-Out shirt. They have followers. I mean, they really cool. If you haven't heard of In-N-Out, look into it. Look at their concept. I think it's one of my favorite burgers, and everyone's like, "Chef, why do you why do you like fast food?" They're doing it right. There's right ways and wrong ways to go about things, and in my opinion, I think they're doing it right.
I have a thought. So
Yeah.
when they first opened in LA, I lived there, and I think they got their cult following because when the very first ones opened, they said in California that they only bought meat that they could grow there in California, their vegetables. So I know they've expanded from that concept.
Yeah.
And they were just kept it real simple in how they use stuff. So I think a lot of people bought into, hey, we're using what's here and we're keeping it not frozen. It was just a different twist and fresher twist on McDonald's.
Right. So when they opened, I mean, in your opinion, who do you think was dining there? Did you see all sorts of demographics? Did you see one demographic? And do you think they've expanded?
A lot of hipster kids. They had one in Hollywood, and so they got lots of pictures of celebrities going through the line, like Dolly Parton and whoever else. And
Sure.
then that was a big thing because one of their flagships was right in Hollywood where all the celebrities. And then they had some out at the beach, so they got the hipster skaters, and so they did a good job. And I think a lot of Californians bought into it because it was fresh and local stuff.
Sure. So, I mean, that's how they started, and they've obviously expanded, which is, hipsters. You're hipsters because it's cool before it's cool, right? But, really cool to see, like, how they have grown. And Frida, thank you for using that and where they've started and where they're at now. All right, let's move on to our next example. Cheesecake Factory. Where do we find a Cheesecake Factory? Malls. Yes, Frida, malls. What's happening with malls right now? They're dying. Amazon, right? I actually chose this picture over here because I was like, oh, it's kind of an empty Cheesecake Factory. And I know they're actually closing a lot of these just because their demographic is moving away. Like people aren't going to malls anymore. There's a big push for, home delivered meal, Postmates, and, people from restaurants getting it delivered. They're not going out as much. The mall used to be this, place where everyone would go and then you go maybe get lunch after or whatever, but that's not happening anymore. Like we have to look at market trends and how there's a lot of other factors that need to go into where we choose our location. So pretty interesting, the Cheesecake Factory and where they're opening up now. I think, unfortunately, they might be closing more than they are opening, but, malls and market trends change. So you have to be thinking about this. This is where we're doing our research, finding where different restaurants are. And, questions on that?
Chef, Frida just mentioned that Cheesecake is trying out a new home delivery tactic in certain areas. So going right to that, trying to find that new market, right? Those new demographics. How do we reach them? How do we reach our customers? Great job.
All right. I know last week, I believe I touched on Dave & Buster's, mostly because it's like my favorite place. I'm somewhat of a kid, so I like to go play games and hang out. Entertainment is what it is. Can you appeal to more than one demographic? Absolutely. When we're looking at our target market, we don't need to be so specific that we eliminate other, parts of our demographic. I think Dave and Buster's does a great job. They have, this whole sports kind of place. So, you're the reaching demographic that wants to go watch football, drink beer, have a good time with their buddies, as well as, hey, kids, families, they can entertain as well. They can reach two different demographics, which I think is important. It's like, and you guys will watch a video in this week. They talk about Buffalo Wild Wings and how it's a sports bar, but also families go there for like trivia and games. But it's not for music lovers. People that are looking to go watch music and see live music and enjoy their time that way, they're not going to go to Dave and Buster's. What happens with that is we can start to talk about, how our brain works and, how we take our target market and really figure out what our customers want. They'll go into like heuristics. Heuristics is our mental shortcuts. And how our brain immediately can decipher between A and B without having to think. So that's really when we're looking at our target market. How do our customers come in and know this is the place for me? This is how I relate to it. Is it the sports bar that I'm walking into, or is it a music venue? So there's a lot of different psychology behind it and how our brain works, when looking at a place and how you market yourself. Chef Catherine, do you want to go into psychology of the menu a little bit?
Definitely. So class, let's get into the menu. Let's get into the brain, right? Let's get into us. What happens when we get that menu presented, right? Here we are, we sit down, open up a menu. Where do you look first? Appetizers. We've got somebody in the comments saying appetizers.
Whatever's the brightest.
Whatever's the brightest. Okay. Yeah. What else? Where else do you think you go?
Cost.
Cost. You're looking at prices first. Okay. Yeah. So there are ways that our mind, though, our brain moves around a menu, right? They've analyzed this. They have people pick up menus. They do studies on this to see where do we go first, and then up, down, up, right? We actually form a little bit of a triangle on the menu. I'm going to pull up this visual aid for you, but before we get there, I want to talk about the dollar sign, right? Okay. How does the price, what we see written out, affect you? If it has a dollar sign in front of it, do you feel anything different? If you just see, let's say it's some I don't know, let's do a breakfast place, right? Or let's talk about a sandwich spot, and you see 7, right? Just the number 7 written. Does having 7 with the dollar sign have a different impact on you when you see it? Because now you're associating that number with an actual dollar. Yes, Frida. Yeah, we've got some yeses.
I'm sorry, I'm on fire today, but you're hitting awesome points on things I just am dying to know. So I live north of Austin and south of Dallas. I'm right in the middle. This area is super saturated in Texas with barbecue joints. I mean, every 10 miles you're hitting. The difference in expectations, like just here in the countryside on main roads, is they expect a barbecue sandwich for $8 to $10. You go to the city and those are $15 to $20. If you put the same price for the exact same sandwich, and no different in product because you know what the other guys are doing, they will walk away and say, I'm not going to pay $15 or $18 for the same sandwich they paid for in Austin or Dallas. So that is that was a hard learning curve here to go, wow, how do I get that sandwich to what people really want to pay it's like their expectations in the countryside are less. They want something cheaper.
Yes, I do agree. I think that oftentimes, right, we're going to that ideal. Where's that location? Well, I'm not in the city. You're not paying those rents, right? I don't expect to pay that much out on the countryside when I'm on the road versus when I'm in the city. That goes into that psychology as well, though. You're 100% right. It's cheaper outside of the city.
Yeah, and on that note too, it's like a lot of people don't look into labor costs in this. They just see, that price point when really, downtown rent's more expensive. Just recently here, they actually have a higher minimum wage in Denver than they do in other parts of Colorado. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, and how do you, market that so you're not necessarily getting the same sandwich. Your atmosphere, when you're downtown, there's so much more going on. How do you do it? So it is tricky. People have been successful. A lot of people have failed when they try to, open a restaurant. They have a popular restaurant downtown, then go out to, out of the downtown. It can vary. So there's definitely finding like tricks along the way. It is a huge learning curve for a lot of restaurants when they do try to expand. But knowing those demographics is important in, going into the menu and where you source, and, will people, in those niche markets be more willing to pay, if they say free range, pork on your menu versus, just pulled pork sandwich. So there's different like menu tricks and words. I know in our last class, we brought up a lot of those words and descriptors. Like a lot of those can play into how you design your menu as well. Chef Catherine, you want to give that example? Or
oh yeah, I was of the triangle. I'm going to pull up something else and then keep just going on the psychology of menu. Sorry. So because we got excited about the dollar signs, right? And 99 cents, right? How does your mind go? Am I more likely to buy something that's $5.99 versus $6? It has a different, in my head, I'm thinking 5, right? So there are all these different ways that our mind is working that we're not even aware of. Just like Chef Bryce was saying, heuristics, right? Ways that our brain and mind are doing just based on past experiences and what we feel, right? There's no other way to say that. This is just human nature, right? How we react to things. Colors as well. Colors on that menu. I know somebody talked about that. What about the blank space? What if we go into a restaurant and the menu is just all over the place? We've got circles over here. We've got lines, squares over here. And it's too much. It's too chaotic. I don't even know where to start, right? What if you have a huge menu? How many pages are you flipping through? How do you know what to order? Okay. What about the order of the menu items? Do you think that anything goes into that? Do you want to put the highest priced item first or the lowest priced?
I'd say highest margin.
The highest margin. Okay. Who does anybody know what Skylar's talking about? Highest margin, meaning what type of profit you're going to make on that, right? Okay. So what do? You put a high price item first in the top, right? So you set the bar in a kind of area, a little bit of an area, and then you hit those great margin spots, right? A few down after that. Because now you're like, oh, that's hot, pretty high. Now we go to a little bit of lower cost. Oh, I'm in. Meanwhile, you're making a bigger profit on that. The higher price item, you're not making a huge profit on, right? Because you're using expensive quality ingredients. Yeah, that's why you got that higher price anyhow. Then you drop down, you're like, whoa, that cut of steak is a much better deal. And now I'm going in for it and I'm making a killing. Okay? So placement of those items. Okay.
Pretty sure that's why I just put market price on all my menus. I'm just kidding. I mean, where you locate things. I mean, you also, what's important with that too is people want to start their meal, then they want to do this like progression of your menu. I think like when we brought it up before, what's the first thing you see on the menu is appetizers. You want people to, kind of decipher how and they're going to eat their meal. So that's really important too. Chef Kyler, I don't know. Do we keep going on? Sorry. Yeah, I think we have a hand raised as well.
Yes.
I enjoy the way that Asian menus have their menu strategized. It's like you got your appetizers, you go down. If you want just pork or beef or what have you, you know exactly where to go to. It's not like a guessing game or noodles or rice. So I think that's pretty neat too.
Yeah.
It gives you that way you're not wasting a whole lot of time switching through. What do I want? Yeah, that's just crazy. Too much.
Right. Keeping
Simple,
it
but
simple
it's
sometimes.
already ready for you.
Yeah, keeping it simple. You know, when menus get too wordy, people kind of lose interest. That, you know, I think we nailed it, and people look at that price first. You know, how much are they willing to spend? How are you presenting that price on that menu is very important. The 99¢, oh my goodness, how many times do we see that on all the menus? You know, they're just playing tricks on us, right? You know, we're here to play tricks on people and, you know, get them to think differently, where it is that $5 instead of, you know, $5.99 instead of $6. There's so many different factors that we can use to manipulate how our guest looks at our menu. And really that's how we're getting to the, you know, psychology and really deciphering how the brain works and being able to translate that onto paper so we can get people to order those high margin items, as well as, you know, order so they're not just getting one item on the menu. How do we get them to order multiple items? How do we get that check to go up? You know, are we selling things a la carte? You know, or we just saying a protein and then without any sides? You know, do they have to buy the sides on the, you know, separately? So a lot of different factors when it comes to that. Chef, I was going to get into something else unless you still want to go into.
Just two quick things
Yep.
on that psychology, right? About the wording, okay? What's going to lure you in? Grandma's, you know, like grandma's slow cooked Italian sauce, right? You're like, oh my gosh, if this is Nona's sauce recipe, I want to try that. Or best wings in town, or best wings an award, right? You get excited, like, oh, if these are the best, I should try that. So again, that wording, descriptions. Yeah, that's all I want to talk about. Chef, you.
So we have our demographics. We've kind of, you know, we've done our research. We know, you know, what location we want to go to. We're looking at that target market. You know, once you're in that target market, you have it. But how else can we get people to, you know, reach out to these people? Anybody? What about the sense of community? Or wait, someone had their hand up?
Denise said advertising.
Yep. So community is, I think, a huge part of the demographic that you're going into, your target market. Community, people like the sense of, hey, this is, you know, part of our community. This restaurant has either been at events by us, you know, festivals, races, you know, like 5Ks and marathons. And, you know, I think that's huge right now, is having that sense of community. Like, what a great marketing tool to, you know, reach out to that demographic. The restaurant I used to work for, you know, we donated 1% of our total revenue back to our community. Where the original location was downtown Denver, and it was by a lot of homeless shelters. You know, how do you, you know, you have such a different demographic there, but how do you make yourself stand out? How do you still be a part of that community? You know, it's your staff is volunteering at the homeless kitchen. We're, you know, having different events that day for it. So people like that sense, and then it also gives you a good idea when you create that community. And part of it, you get a feel for your target market too. You see the people that are around your restaurant, and it gives you that more ability to, you know, hone in your menu to their tastes and their how do you, you know, figure out what they want. And, you know, it's a fine balance to, you know, try to, you know, please everybody, but, you know, you also want to be different. You know, you want to be, you know, everyone wants to be that like chef where they're well known for this one thing, but you know, for me, and success is, you know, how I've reached out to my communities, and being a part of that. It gives a bigger sense of what you're doing and how your menu reflects it. Our menu recently, like we have something called Pancake Day, and all of our proceeds from our pancakes, you know, that day actually go to our local community garden. And that's just not here in one state. That's over I think like 8 different states now, 40 different restaurants. Like, what a great way to, you know, not only give back, but also, you know, be a part of your community and discover, you know, your target market as well. Maybe if we have time at the end, I do want to get into our assignment next week. I do have a little clip. I may or may not be starring in it about communities. It's a very close thing to my heart and passion, especially in our industry, because I think there is a strong want and will and, you know, moving forward in our industry. And, you know, it's great to give back. Like, what a good feeling. Not only are you cooking the best pulled pork sandwich in it, but part of that is going, you know, to your local garden, like proceeds or anything. I think, you know, everyone loves the word millennials. You know, they need a cause behind why they want to eat things. Anyone questions, anything? No? All right. Chef Catherine, you have anything to add before we get into our assignment? All right. So last week we had just review those research materials as well as that knowledge check. Everyone looked great. We completing on that. This week's going to be a little bit different. You know, looks like or sounds like everyone's pretty familiar with the platform, but it is going to be a discussion forum. So let me just pull that up real quick. All right. So this week, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a look at different menus from different restaurants. You have 4 choices here, and you're going to pick one of those. But listen to me now. You want to look at all of them, and I'll tell you why here in a second. So you're going to come down and we're going to answer these questions. So which menu did you choose? Pretty straightforward. What age group should this restaurant target? Are we looking, you know, is it the young millennials or young professionals, or is it senior citizens? You know what, and maybe it covers more than one. Income level, so that's where we kind of look at that price point on that. And I think when I'm looking at this in income level, I also look at value. I think value is really important, just because sometimes it might be a little bit more expensive. Are you getting all those sides? Like, is it a complete dish, you know? So it can be kind of tricky that, so making sure you're thoughtfully looking at that. What aspects of the menu led you to pick these target demographics? So like I said, you know, is it the value? You know, is it the price point? So taking those into consideration. This last question's the tricky one. It's worded a little bit different. So list one age or income demographic you don't think restaurants should pursue and explain why. So this is the one where I told you you want to be looking at every single menu because you're going to answer for each one of these. So we're not just going to take the one that you use to answer other questions. This one is a 4-part question. Make sure you answer for each of these ones. So along with this, once you answer this, then we're looking for 2 responses to your peers as well. Remember, this is a discussion. It's just not a, you know, bulletin board where we're putting up these things. We want people that we want to discuss. So making sure we get this done earlier in the week allows for more time for us to post on our peers as well. Any questions on this? Pretty straightforward. Taking a look at different menus. No? Good? All right. Chef Catherine, you okay if I maybe play a little video just about communities? All right. Let me see if I still have it here. So, like I said, I'm super passionate about reaching out to communities. If you guys need to go to, feel free. This is just a little extra clip. You know, I think it's important when you're looking at demographics, but it's kind of fun. It's only 3 minutes long. Let me share screen here. All right.
We love to support organizations that speak to us as SNOOS. We consider ourselves doing things a little bit differently in the sense of the way that we treat each other, the way that we treat our guests, the way that we treat our communities. It's a part of what we do since day one, since 2006, since we opened up here in the ballpark neighborhood of Denver, Colorado. Taking a stand on something and supporting causes that are truly moving the needle and nurturing change in our communities is something we're so privileged to be able to do. And we're only able to do so because of our guests. We donate 1% of our sales in kind to nonprofits that we consider family. And in 2019, we're able to donate our largest amount ever. That's $1 million in kind to our partners. And that feels so great.
We make as many big splashes and little ponds as we can. When you really think about the amount of people that you can impact with $1 million in all the communities across SNOOS, that's powerful.
You know, I think early on the relationship, we were the nonprofit knocking on the door of SNOOS saying like, hey, could you guys donate a gift card for our event? And that's where it started, but the relationship like went way deeper pretty quickly. And it's not only like, how can I just donate a gift card, but like, what else do you need? How can we support you? I think those kind of deeper partnerships are super key for any nonprofit's long-term sustainability and success.
We're at Brent's Place in Aurora, Colorado. It's a home for families with kids going through cancer treatments. This is a nice little treat for us to give back to the kids. Everyone loves a good SNOOS pancake. So we got pancakes, sunny side eggs, bacon, and little hash brown tater tots cooking up right now.
I think really our job is to create opportunity, right? So we know that everyone we've encountered at SNOOS is sincerely interested in just doing better, making a difference. The easy thing with SNOOS is that it was clear from the beginning that there was just a sincere desire to impact our families. And so I think first and foremost, just the connection with the people means that we have shared values and shared views and shared desire to make an impact.
I think that's why I love being here at SNOOS, because we are not just clocking in just to do a job, we're clocking in to make a difference. We feel like we have a responsibility at SNOOS to do more than just serve breakfast. Breakfast, but different.
Kind of fun. You know, that video just came out and I thought it was cool. You know, it's just such a different way to look at your demographics, look at your community, and how you can be a part of it and, you know, narrow in that target market. And, you know, as you can see, if you are confident in what you're doing and can, you know, you can reach so many different people. But it's important to do that research, like know what neighborhood or wherever your location is, like understand who's around you. You know, those are not only your customers, but they're your neighbors too. So something kind of cool to look into. Like I said, I'm always here, reach out. Hopefully I can get those menus that people wanted to send to me. I love analyzing and looking at menus. It's it's fun. Any other questions or anything before we catch you next week? We'll be looking at that discussion board as well. Chef Catherine, you got anything for us?
No, all I would say is look at those menus closely, because I'm going to ask you a question about it next week.
Cool. All right. Thank you, guys. We will see you next week, same time. And for anyone that watching the archive as well, feel free to reach out with those questions. Just because you're not here at the live session doesn't mean I stop working. I'm here for you guys to reach out to and answer any questions or help you along the way. So thank you, guys. We'll see you next week.